Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over a 2021 Toyota Supra. Yes, this is my Supra, so if you are interested in 2021 Supra content, please go subscribe to my channel, obviously. But as always, we're going to do a full walk around on that car, and then we're going to take it out, see how it drives. Let's get right into it. Under the hood of the 2021 Supra, we have a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is going to be 22 around town and then 30 on the highway, with power outputs being 382 horsepower and then 368 pound-feet of torque. So if you bought a 2020, I'm sorry. Going over the front end, if you guys watched my delivery video, I had this next to a Toyota 86, and they're like the same overall length, and the hood on this is just massive. That's the first thing you guys will notice. And then yes, everyone knows about all of the fake vents. I love the lights. I mean, they just look absolutely amazing. And this whole thing goes to a turn signal, which I think is just a really neat touch. But yeah, just like driving around the front end, it looks super unique, especially with the lights and yes, fake, and we got more closed off stuff. And yeah, that's just kind of like the hallmark of the new Supra, is the fact that it's got so many fake vents. That does double as a sensor. But yeah, overall, I think the front end looks really good. I think they definitely nailed it on the front end, and yeah, there's the front for you. Here's the side angle on the Supra. If we actually zoom in, we've got two 55mm tires here on the front on 19-inch wheels, and then the rear, it's actually two 75s, 19-inch wheels again. And yes, we've got more fake venting there on the side, but it looks cool. And then I actually like the mirror, how it has like a matte finish. It's kind of like, is a little bit of like a breakup from the rest of the car, because it's like all gloss black and it kind of matches with all the fake vents. So I think it's a pretty cool little touch. The gas cap is massive. You just like click it in, but like look how big this thing is. It's like the biggest like cover to a gas cap, I should say, that I've ever seen. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I love the hips in the back, and yeah, that's all for the side. Now here at the back, I absolutely love the taillights. You guys can see them while they're still on for just a second. And I did forget to mention, on the roof, it's got like the double roof, kind of like what the Viper has. What I'm trying to say is this is basically like a budget Viper, just because of what's happening there with the roof. But yeah, you can see the taillights at nighttime, super distinctive, really cool. I love the little superscript. Now the GR logo there, obviously people see that and they think, oh, it's the cool version, but at the same time, I think it's kind of silly. I love the reverse light right there, because obviously it mimics a fog light. And yes, you guys will get an exhaust clip. The 2021 exhaust sounds so much better than the 2020 exhaust. It's like night and day difference. It sounds absolutely amazing. And yeah, the diffuser back here is also cool, and that's everything for the back. It looks so good from the back angle. Now here's the key fob, and obviously this is going to help us get into the trunk. So you just hold this down, and then that'll pop open. I shouldn't say trunk, it's actually a hatchback. So yeah, pretty crazy. Anyways, you guys can see the storage space in here is okay. Just to give you guys like scale for reference, that's like a license plate cover. So yeah, not the largest storage space, but I mean, it'll definitely do. And yeah, that whole like look right there, it actually reminds me of like the back of like a Porsche Cayman. If you guys have ever seen that, like that whole setup and everything, I think it looks super similar. But yeah, decent amount of storage space, not the best, but I mean, that's not really what this car is about. It does have keyless entry. It's kind of annoying. So to lock it, it's that little thing right there. Unlocking, it's easy. You just have to put your hands on the back of the door handle, and then, you know, it'll obviously work when it wants to work. But actually opening up the door handle itself, or I should say the door itself, the panel is pretty decent. So you've got this like fake leather here, which is okay with the stitching all across, and then it's like soft earth touch here, but it's not the nicest materials, obviously. And then you can see the window controls with the door handle. I definitely love the look of the door handle, and then I do like this darker trim all along here. I think it looks really good. And then here are the seats. The Supra is a 2-seater, as you guys know, and the seats are really comfortable. So I have just over 100 miles in the car right now, and these seats have been really comfortable to sit in. You can see you've got the memory functions on them, all the power adjustments. I really like the look of these seats. They kind of like a nice sporty look to them, and then I just like the contrast with the white stitching on them. The pedals are actually pretty cool, so they've got pretty cool look there on the pedals. And then yeah, that's not as cool. The hood latch is like a double thing, which is pretty weird. Here's all your light controls right there, and there's one more look before we actually pop in. Now yes, obviously it's an automatic transmission, push button start. It does pops when it starts up. It's pretty cool, but you guys can see all of that. and it's nice. Here is the steering wheel in the Supra. So it's actually smooth touch leather. It's like the only leather in the interior that's actually like really smooth to the touch. And then you've got the stitching in the center of the steering wheel. Now you've got your adaptive cruise control over here on this side, which is actually works really well in the car. And then you got like your volume controls, phone controls, all that. The paddle shifters are actually pretty nice. So the material on the front's definitely nice in the back. The back is just kind of plastic, but when you actually press the paddle, it doesn't make that gross plasticky sound. It's not too bad. It's really quiet actually when you press it. So definitely like the actuation on those. And then you can see you've got the stock for the turn signal, windshield wiper on the other side, and that's that part. Now here's the center gauge cluster. Now it's kind of weird how they've done it with the fuel and with the temperature, because they just do a bunch of lines. They don't tell you an exact amount. And same with the fuel, kind of weird, but you know, I'm getting used to it. And then you can see the RPMs right there front and center. Obviously that's the most important thing. Speeds off to the side, and then you can see other gauges like your temperature and all that. And then you do have drive modes, aka normal mode and sport mode. Now you can see the gauge changes a little bit. It gets kind of red, so it's a little bit more aggressive when you go into sport mode. Doesn't change a ton, but I think the gauge cluster looks cool in general, because you can see right here when I have it in the sport mode and give it a little bit with the throttle, you can see how that moves. I think it looks pretty neat in general with that, but that's the whole gauge cluster and that's the drive modes. Now here is the center infotainment system, and I obviously never reviewed a 2020 Supra, but from what I was told, they updated the infotainment system for the 2021s, so it's got like the newer system from BMW, and all I have to say is response time on it's really solid. The backup camera is absolutely amazing. So when you pop it into reverse, you get like the view with the parking sensors, and then you can see all the trajectory lines. Hello, Orange Raptor. But yeah, the backup camera is really solid on the car. I'm really impressed with it, and the parking sensors work really well. It does have rear brake assist, which I found out the hard way when I went down a driveway that was like a steep incline, and it thought that I was going to hit into something because the driveway was steep, and so it did the rear braking, which was kind of interesting. Now the last thing I wanted to mention about the infotainment system is actually two things. So the Apple CarPlay is completely wireless, which I think is really cool. I've never used Apple CarPlay before because I never take an auxiliary cord with me, but now I can. And the other thing is, if you hover your finger over the presets, it does this. So you can see I'm hovering my finger over the presets, and it tells me what is on those specific presets. So I think that's another cool little feature. And if we pop down below, the vents are pretty good. So it's been over 100 degrees every single day today here in Utah since I've taken delivery of the Supra. And the air conditioning actually works really well with the car, even when it's gotten up to 110 degrees. And then you can see all the presets right here. Does have a dual zone climate. The weird thing is, this is the only car I've ever seen that doesn't go to low. Like, it goes down to 60 degrees. It doesn't tell you low temperature. Most cars say low. This one doesn't. Kind of a weird quirk. And by the way, when the fan thing is in the middle, like it is with the guy right there, that means it's coming out of those. It's kind of interesting. So that one's at the top, obviously, and that's at the bottom, but you'd think it's, I don't know, it's just weird. Maybe I'm just stupid, but it just looks weird to me. The next really cool thing is this does come with a wireless charger. Now the only thing that's annoying about the wireless charger is it doesn't really hold your phone into place. So like if you accelerate really hard, your phone will kind of go forward and go out of the wireless charging area. And then here is the shifter for that 8-speed automatic. So obviously this is straight out of a BMW. So you go up for reverse, you go down for drive, and then you go over for the manual shift. And then when you go into park, you just press that, and then the shifter will do all of that for you. And the the infotainment system does have analog controls. You can control it via this dial. The dial actually works better than the touchscreen, honestly, so that's just kind of from my experience with using both of them so far. It does have auto stop start, but when you go in the sport mode, it turns it off. You've got your parking sensor. This is for the safety stuff, just like a shortcut to turn it off if you don't want it. I only use the blind spot monitoring, so I like to turn off the other stuff like the lane departure assistance. Now with the stability control, you can just press it once to turn it off, and you can see that that will do the traction control. Or if you actually hold it down for, I think about 5 seconds roughly, yeah, about 5 seconds, you can see it turns everything off, and that's what I've been driving it in, is everything turned off. And then in the sport mode, which the sport mode is massive, and then you've got the parking brake right here, and yeah, you've got the cool carbon fiber trim, which it doesn't have carbon fiber like anywhere else in the interior, but it has it right here, and I actually like it. Now coming over here into the cup holders, obviously we got a mask because coronavirus, but you got these two cup holders here, and they didn't give you a center console. You get like this little tiny little storage bucket thingy, whatever you want to call this. You can fit basically a couple of wallets in it, or a couple of phones if you've got like smaller phones like what I have. But yeah, it's not really a real center console. Obviously you got the storage space right behind, which will suffice. And yes, you do get a glove box, which is full of stuff like the owner's manual and window sticker and all that. And Yeah, it's cool with the vent up here, by the way. It like goes all the way across, so like that's not a vent at all. That's just for style, so that like the interior all matches. Up top here, this is pretty straightforward. So I like the double bubble because you can actually see it here into the interior with the roof. You got your light controls up there, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple there at the top. So I've got the window sticker for the Supra. So this one is a 3.0 premium. Black metallic is the paint, obviously 2021. And then you can see some stuff I went over, like fuel economy. And by the way, my friend DJ, yeah, he party fouled and ripped the window sticker. Shame on him. Anyways, you guys can see all the stuff if you want to freeze a frame on the standard equipment. The premium package pretty much comes with everything. It has a couple options like the driver assist package, which is cool with the blind spot, and like I said, with the adaptive cruise control. But you can see the base price, $54,490, and then you can see after all the options, $56,705. Let's take the Supra out and see how it drives. Let's quickly talk about visibility here in the Supra before we set off. So you guys can see the visibility over the hood. And some people have kind of mentioned that the Supra hood is like kind of long to look over. It's honestly not that bad. I just traded in my ZL1 1LE for this car, and that hood was way worse compared to this. This feels like tiny, even from the hood perspective. Anyways, there's your visibility through both of the mirrors, which thank goodness for blind spot monitoring because it's not the best. And then throughout the rear, the window is actually really big, so it's pretty easy to see out of the window as well. And that all being said, let's set off. We are setting off here initially in the Supra, and like I said, I haven't gotten like a huge amount of time. I only have 168 miles on the car, but I mean, that's more time than I normally get with cars when I review them, so this will probably be a little bit more in depth than what I normally do. Right now I'm in the normal mode with the automatic mode. Now, if you're just like casually driving around, this is a really good drive mode, and like the gearing is perfect. The amount of power that you get through the acceleration is really good if you're not wanting to go super quick. So when you're just kind of like getting up and going, it's perfect. So it's a really good drive mode for that. If you need to pass someone though, it's kind of crappy for that. What I've noticed is it really takes a second for it to gear down, and then you get a little bit of turbo lag, and it feels like forever for you to actually accelerate. So yeah, I don't recommend the normal mode for passing. Sport mode definitely does better at that. But the one thing I will mention is if you are trying to do any type of sporty driving, you have to be in the manual shift function. This automatic transmission in automatic mode just doesn't do very well at all. Now, the other thing to mention about the normal mode is obviously it'll make the suspension a little bit softer. It makes the exhaust a little bit quieter. So when you go into the sport mode, it opens up the valve. So like right now, you don't get any like popples and crackles like when you heard with the exhaust clip. You just kind of get like the normal stuff. So like if I switched over into, first off, taking the traction control all the way off, that's the most important thing to do. So now the traction control is off, putting it in the sport mode, over into the manual mode, and you get a couple downshifts. It does like the normal BMW fart with that, and we'll get a better acceleration up here from like a standstill. But yeah, it does the normal like little BMW like fart thing is the best thing for me to, is the best way for me to describe it. And it also does like little gargles when you downshift. So hopefully you guys can hear that. We'll do another one. They sound really good. And what I found is if you are on the throttle and you just like let off a little bit when you're at higher RPMs, it sometimes will do like a loud pop at the back. It sounds really good. Well, good thing you guys can't see my speed because reasons. But yeah, it's incredibly fast actually. So if you guys don't know, I just traded in my ZL1 1LE for this, and that had 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. This isn't as quick. However, this doesn't feel slow, and that's me coming from the ZL1 1LE. And so it's just crazy the sense of speed that this car gives you. It's just absolutely amazing. And so all the people that are saying that this car is fast, but it doesn't feel that fast, I don't know if their heads are on straight, because it's really quick. Like, it is more than enough power. I don't feel like I need any more power with this car. Like, it's it's more than adequate. It's absolutely crazy. And then the next thing I want to get into is the handling and then the drivability on the car. So in terms of the handling, so far it's been great. The tires are pretty good. I do feel a little bit of body roll with the car, and coming from race compound tires to these PS4s, I'm not used to like how sticky these aren't compared to the race compounds, but these tires are going to have a really long lifespan compared to the race compounds. So I'd rather have a little bit less grip and obviously have a lot longer lifespan with the tires. And then in terms of like just the drivability, it doesn't bottom out very easily. I haven't actually bottomed out at all, and you do have to take things at a little bit of an angle, but it's not that bad at all. And so for being like a really cool sports car, it is actually really easy to daily drive. And that was kind of my plan with this car, is definitely to drive this every single day. And well, after I get it wrapped, that's a whole nother thing. But it's super comfortable, it's quiet when you want it to be, and then you can just put it in the sport mode, manual mode, and have so much fun with it. Like it has so much character is the best way for me to put it. It's so much fun, and yeah, I absolutely love this car. So what I would say is, I mean, right now, for cars that are out there that are like this, there's really not a lot. Everyone kind of compares this to the Porsche Cayman, and you guys can see that the dips here in Utah are stupid. Like it's so stupid deep, but it doesn't bottom out. But everyone compares it to the Porsche Cayman and Boxster, and I've driven both of those, and they're just different cars. They really are. Those cars obviously have a nicer interior. It's got the Porsche name. However, they don't get nearly as much attention as this car. Everyone sees a Porsche and they're like, oh, it's just a Porsche. When people see this car, they go crazy for it. Like I get so many looks all the time. It's absolutely ridiculous. So you get way more attention than the Porsche. And I dare to say it's more fun to drive than the Porsche. Now the Porsches are really good. Like it's such a well-balanced car. However, the Supra just has a little bit more character with the exhaust. It definitely sounds better than the 718 Boxster and Caymans that don't have the flat six, because most of them have that four banger, and yeah, this inline six sounds so much better. But just the overall character of the car, just how it actually drives, it's just more exciting. Now, I know it doesn't come with a manual transmission. A manual transmission Porsche might be just slightly more exciting, but it's not that much more, and this is so much less money. It's like 10 grand less than an equivalent Porsche, so maybe even a little bit more. So if you're thinking about buying a Supra, I definitely think it's worth it. Buy one from Pickle Rick. That's all I'm saying. Pickle Rick, Brent Brown Toyota. And that's going to sum things up for today's video on the 2021 Toyota Supra. And like I said, if you want more Supra content, definitely subscribe. And if you guys are interested in purchasing a Supra or a Toyota in general, I'm going to include a link to the Toyota dealership that I got the car from. Again, if you didn't see my delivery video, definitely go check them out. They're really awesome. It's an awesome team down there. I'll see all of you guys in my next video.